Behavior Guidance, Part 3.1. Continuing on with our outline, we are reflecting on the last objective, which is how do we promote functional behaviors? Remembering that functional behaviors are easy to promote when first looking at the environment. The environment is going to include the physical layout, our program schedule, the curriculum or enrichment and activities that we offer. It's also going to include us as the adults and how we are modeling and behaving and interacting with the children and others that the children see us interacting with, and guidance strategies. Today we're going to be focusing on promoting functional behaviors through our actions or ourselves. To begin, we have a positive role model checklist, some things for you to reflect on as to what you are not, or could improve on doing yourself. First and foremost, you have to remember that you as the adult are automatically a role model for the child. Children are always watching what you are doing, and children will imitate and mimic, repeat what they see you as the adult doing. So you really need to think about what you are doing when you are on the job. In addition, think about what you're doing when you're off the job in our community if you work in the community that you also serve. You should identify the qualities in yourself that you want children to develop, and then work on the qualities in yourself that you'd rather not see children imitate. Every generation, we are hoping to do better than the previous. Therefore, it's important that we are continually working on what we want our children to imitate or emulate, to do better than what we ourselves have been capable of doing. We need to make sure in our after-school programs that we are providing learning materials that represent values we want the children to learn. This means that we want to make sure that, again, that our curriculum is promoting things such as cooperation, such as taking turns, such as offering forgiveness, and so on. This means that the games that we plan, going back to curriculum again, that scary word, it can be as simple as the games that we plan, as cooperative instead of competitive, the books that we read, so the learning materials, the structure that we have. We also need to make sure that we are demonstrating a calm and peaceful conflict management style. We are going to be talking more about specific guidance strategies in the videos to come, some of which will give you better ideas on how to demonstrate this calm and peaceful conflict management. If we are getting frustrated ourselves with children who are displaying dysfunctional behaviors, then we are promoting the children to also display frustration, antisocial, or aggressive behaviors with children when they are frustrated. We're human. We are going to get frustrated. We are going to get annoyed with some of the children that are in our programs. There always are children that we look forward to seeing more than others, and others that we do get a little excited when they're absent from the program because we know it's going to be an easier day. However, we need to keep those thoughts and opinions to ourselves and make sure that our actions are always treating all of the students equally based on the rules and expectations of the program. As long as they are not going against those rules, then we should be treating everyone with the same respect, with the same integrity, and with the same conflict management strategies when dysfunctional behavior is displayed. We need to demonstrate cooperation. If we are not demonstrating cooperation with our children in our group or with our coworkers, how can we expect the children to cooperate with one another and with us? We also have to demonstrate empathy. Children need to understand that we know what they are going through. We might not feel it in that moment, but we've been there. We can relate. They may or may not always believe us in that moment. You're too old. You can't possibly understand. So then you try and give an example. You try to share a time. You try to build connection. If you demonstrate empathy, children are going to be more likely to demonstrate empathy when someone else is going through something difficult as well. Generosity is also something that we need to make sure that we are displaying when we are working in our programs. We need to be generous in the validations, in the positivity, in the compliments that we give to others and students and to our fellow coworkers. If the children are seeing us demonstrate pro-social positive behaviors, then they are more likely to engage in those as well, especially when they see us doing this to children or adults that they know may have wronged us or may be misbehaving, maybe displaying dysfunctional behaviors, but we are still treating respectfully, generously. Going back to like providing learning materials and being intentional in planning our curriculum, we want to make sure that we're reading books to children that express moral values such as forgiveness, honesty, persistence, responsibility, respect, and fairness. These are books that you can have them read on their own, that they can read in small groups. You can have older students read this to younger students if you work at middle schools, and you can partner with the nearby elementary to have reading buddies. In this day and age, you can even ask children to record themselves reading the book that maybe gets emailed or posted to their reading buddy in this virtual world that we're living in. Again, we can be intentional in our actions by building the curriculum, by demonstrating what we want the children to carry out themselves, and by reflecting on the things that we know we do well, that we want the children to do, and to be honest about the things that we also need to improve on ourselves, and to show the children, I am also continually improving myself, and I need you to continually try and improve yourself as well. So how are some ways that we can go about becoming more of that positive role model? What are some things that we can adjust about ourselves to improve qualities? A big thing to reflect on is our communication style, noting the difference between positive instructions versus negative commands. In positive communication, we focus on identifying and stating the desired behaviors, the behaviors we want to see, rather than focusing on the inappropriate behaviors. This is going to help for a few reasons. If you're working with younger students, or if you are working with students with any ability difference when it comes to processing information, students who are learning a second language, if you're focusing on the negative, on the don'ts, and on the inappropriate behaviors, don't run with scissors. Those who process information differently, whether it's because of an ability difference or because of a second language, might just hear, run scissors. If you focus on the positive, on how maybe you hold the scissors or walk with the scissors, maybe then they hear walk scissors and are more likely to do the positive as opposed to the negative. Of course, none of these strategies that we're going to be talking about, none of the ways that we modify our communication style, which is modifying ourselves and how we present ourselves to the students, is going to be a guarantee. Children are still going to be children. They are still going to intentionally and unintentionally push our buttons. But by modifying what we do, by being aware of using positive instructions versus negative commands, about displaying the qualities we want to see children displaying as well, we are more likely to see this functional behavior, and overall we are promoting the functional versus dysfunctional behavior. Children and adults also tend to respond more cooperatively to positive instructions than they do to negative commands. No one enjoys being told what to do. Instead, they enjoy being given instructions in a positive manner that can be phrased even as a request. Now you might be thinking, well, if I'm asking the student to do something, well, then I'm giving them a choice. Yes, and there is a way to go around that as well. You can ask them to do something, and if they say no, you can say, okay, well then what should you do instead? Or what are you going to do to contribute to the project or contribute to the classroom or to turn your behavior around? That's going to open up the doors to discussion and having the student to self-reflect more on their behavior. It's okay to request, and it's okay to get a no, and it's okay to then talk about it. If you don't want a completely open-ended option for the students though, then give them choices. You are technically still telling them what to do, but instead they're getting to choose between option A or option B. When you do requests, when you ask requests, or when you give choices, closed-ended choices, not whatever they want to do, but options, specific options that you have defined, you are allowing the children you're working with, or even the adults, to feel more in control, to feel more empowered. And that is going to promote more functional behaviors versus continually telling them what to do in addition to telling them what not to do. So when reflecting on ourselves and how we can promote functional behaviors, we need to think about what curriculum we are intentionally planning, what behaviors we are engaging in, and what communication styles. When we are using positive versus negative commands, another idea to include is assertive communication. Just because we are using positive instructions and because we are not using negative commands does not mean that we cannot be assertive. What does assertive communication look like? Assertive communication is going to be simple. It should involve simplicity. When our communication is simple, it makes the overall message more clear to the student or to the adult. We want to make sure in our communication that we are honest and respectful. If we include honesty and respect, we are keeping the channels of communication open from the speaker and the receiver. We are still positive, we are still assertive, but we are honest and we are respectful in our communication. Assertive communication is also going to be direct. When we are direct, we are getting right to the point. This is going to help children, again, who have processing ability differences or who are learning a second language, when we are getting straight to the point. This also is related to simplicity. When we keep it simple, we're making it easier for the other person to understand our message. But we are still assertive. We are still providing positive instructions. We are still remaining in control of the group. But we are doing it with simplicity, honesty, respect, and directness. We also should make sure that our communication is optimistic. By being optimistic, by being hopeful, we are boosting cooperation within our group by sharing that hope, by not assuming that the child will always make a poor choice or will always engage in dysfunctional behavior. By remaining optimistic, we give the child hope that they can improve, that they can do better, that they are going to get the chance to try again. And you know what? We might mess up again, and that's okay, because I mess up too. Empathy. We also need to make sure that we are being flexible. If we are not being flexible when we are communicating with children, we are then being stubborn. And this goes for communication with anyone, not just children. Flexibility is necessary for children to realize that you do mean what you say, but you're not just a dictator. You're not just my way or no way at all. That you are open to them coming to you and explaining their side of the story. Maybe you did misunderstand. Maybe you did not see what you thought you saw. So you are flexible in your communication. Therefore, you're not being stubborn, but you're still being assertive. You still are maintaining control. You need to portray confidence as well. If you are hesitating, if your tone of voice wavers, children pick up on this, especially the older children. And if they sense that you're not confident, that you're not sure, then they're going to start to question everything that you say. They're going to start to question more than just what you say. They're going to question what you ask them to do, the activities that you plan, why they need to listen to you in the first place. Children want to feel safe. They need to feel safe. And part of the way that you can do that is by demonstrating confidence in your role as their after-school leader, in your role as providing the activities, in following through with logical or natural consequences, in following and knowing the plan for the day. Demonstrate confidence, and confidence when you speak as well. If you don't know the answer to something, if you don't know what the consequence is going to be, it's okay to say that, but still say it with confidence. In my situation, I work in a co-lead position, and sometimes children will get sent to one of us if both of us are not available to address the matter together. And children will engage in a behavior that potentially warrants more than just a reflection. It warrants an actual behavior report or a write-up, a slip, depending on how your program refers to it. And in the moment of talking with the children, I will tell them confidently, I don't know, once I talk to my co-lead, if this is going to be a behavior report, a write-up. But as soon as I find out, I will call you again and I will let you know what's going to happen, okay? Do we understand, though, why your behavior was inappropriate? Do you know why you might end up getting a behavior report? Okay. Once me and my co-lead talk about it, I'll let you know what we're going to do. There is still uncertainty in that communication, in that message, but the confidence is there that the child can trust me, that I am going to follow through with what I say. I am confident that I am going to get the job done, and they can trust that in me, that I mean what I say and I'm going to follow through. I'm going to figure out the answer, even though I don't know the answer in this moment. As mentioned before, we need to make sure to display empathy in our communication. If we are not connecting with the students, then they are not going to keep those channels of communication open. They are not going to trust us. They are not going to believe that we are going to do what we say we are going to do. If we connect with the child, if we show them that, yes, I've been there too, and because I've been there, that's why I care about you. That's why I'm going to make sure I can do the best for you. It might seem that that is not actually going to allow you to maintain control, but it will when the child knows this is someone who knows what I'm feeling, who understands what I'm feeling, who has felt what I have felt before. So it is still possible to engage in positive communication or positive instruction instead of negative by remaining assertive. Therefore, you remain in control. Some ways that you can engage with children when they are promoting dysfunctional behavior are to use reflective prompting or reflective questioning. What do we mean by this? Well, first, we need to keep in mind that children between the ages of 5 to 12 do deserve, can be, and should be talked to in a caring, non-critical way at a relaxed time, not during the time of conflict. Now, this is going to be true for children and adults of all ages, but the reason I point out these ages here are that oftentimes adults think that children, particularly in the elementary school years, should just be told what to do or told what not to do. And they don't necessarily explain the why. They don't necessarily do it in a caring or an empathetic or understanding manner. And they also tend to never do it in a relaxed setting. They tend to do it right there in the moment when the child is highly emotional and not really able to reflect calmly on what they did wrong. And they also tend to do it in a very judgmental or critical way. This can come across just in their tone. Your tone of voice will say a lot, even if your words are saying something different. So elementary school children, and really anyone of any age, should be talked to in a caring, non-critical way and in a relaxed time. In the heat of the moment is not time to engage in reflecting and prompting, in getting a child or an adult to understand why the behavior was hurtful, why it caused this problem that we are now trying to solve. Children can be engaged in conversation, regardless of age. You can talk to a 5-year-old, you can talk to a 15-year-old. It's going to be different and difficult for different reasons, depending on if they're 5 or 15, but you know where they are developmentally. You ask developmentally appropriate questions that gets them to explore, to reflect on the motives, the reasons why they think and you think they engaged in their non-productive behavior. Children can be tactfully, respectfully, assertively asked any of the following questions that may or may not seem relevant. I wonder if you feel you need more attention. This type of wording is really good for younger children who don't necessarily understand their emotions as well. They cannot name their emotions, and they really don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They're just reacting and not understanding, oh, I was feeling angry and that's why I did this. I did want attention. I wonder if you feel you need more attention. You can also ask this to an older student. You might do a different tone of voice, or they might feel like you're treating them like a baby. You have to remember I work with elementary, so my tone does tend to default to speaking to younger students. But if you're with older students, maybe it's not as high pitch. Maybe it's more relaxed. Why do you think you're behaving like this? Do you want attention? Do you feel like I'm not giving you enough attention? Are you just trying to get someone to listen to you? I don't understand. Simply changing the tone of voice and slightly changing the wording can be all that you need to still ask this same reflective question. I wonder if you feel you need to have more control. Why are you doing this? Do you want to be in charge? Would you rather plan the activity? You open the door to maybe some really negative answer there. Yeah, I do want to be in charge. I never get to do what I want to do. Oh, okay, I understand. Well, what if you plan the activity that we do next Wednesday? How about that? How about you ask your friends some things that they're interested in, and you make a list, and then we can look at that list together. We can see what we can try and do here next Wednesday. We can see what materials and supplies we need, and then you can do the activity. How does that sound for you? Again, this can go two ways. Maybe that really hits the child. Yeah, that is what I want to do. And they walk away mad, but they walk away realizing, oh my gosh, someone listened to me. Oh my gosh, I'm getting to do something that I want to do. Someone's trusting me to do this. Or maybe they continue, no, you're just saying that, da, 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 da. You continue the conversation then in that case. You continue with the reflections. Well, I thought you needed more control. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to do something you want to do. That's not what you want. You continue questioning until you find the actual reason why for what's going on. I wonder if you felt so hurt by your friend and now you feel like you need to hurt them back. Do you think that's why you did what you did? Did you feel like they hurt your feelings? Do you feel like you have to hurt their feelings now? Did you like getting your feelings hurt though? Do you think they're going to like getting their feelings hurt? What could we do differently? Do you think if you treat them with kindness, that maybe that'll help them learn to treat you with kindness even when they're mad? Reflective and prompting questioning is core to behavior guidance, to getting a child to realize why they are doing what they are doing, how they can do something different, and to ingrain those skills, those understandings, those lessons for the rest of their lives. I wonder if you feel so overwhelmed right now. Maybe there's just a lot going on and you just need to be left alone. Do you want to be left alone right now? Yeah? Okay, let's set a timer for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Why don't you read this book? When you're done with the book, you come over back to me. Why don't you draw a picture? Why don't you make a list of certain 10 thoughts that are running through your head? Adjust this based on the age of the child that you're interacting with. Once that time period is over, try and go back and engage in this reflecting and prompting. This is going to demonstrate that peaceful and calm conflict management. You can also do this not just with individuals, but with groups of children, questioning and prompting them together, having them reflect individually to be left alone individually, and then to come back to the group and to work through it. This takes time. This takes practice. This takes building up the overall environment of your group to meet the expectations that you set for them, to follow those ground rules, and to be consistent in how you follow up each time. In our next video, we're going to focus more on specific guidance strategies. This video is focusing more on ourself with a heavy focus on our communication and how we can communicate differently to promote positive behaviors as opposed to dysfunctional or negative behaviors. Thank you for watching.